Hello and welcome to all of you out there, astrology lovers. This is a horoscope of the new moon. And I name it the 5 things that are important to know when it considers the new moon in Cancer. But also I'm going to add a tiny little bit for each and every single sign. You know, the clues and the most important things that are important for each and every sign this new moon in Cancer. It's going to happen round and about the 28th, 29th of June, around and about that time, depends on where you live in the world, at 7 degrees of Cancer. So we will be having the sun and the moon together at 7 degrees. Now, very interesting new moon. What is this all about? First point is this is a new moon and it's in Cancer. So a new moon always means we have it once a month in a different sign, and it always means new beginnings. It always means an ending and a new beginning. So it is with this new moon. Add the energy of Cancer to it, and it adds an element of family, an element of, let's hope, and which is our drive, of course, healthy nurturing. So Cancer is the sign of the parent, of the mother figure, but it definitely, when you have it strong in your chart, you're here to learn a lot about healthy nurturing, which is not enabling too much, because then you become the possessive, the overprotective mother, so to speak, and you just interfere with every little thing. And no kid likes that. They kind of going to have the, your kids are gonna run away, basically. But and on the other hand, not nurturing at all is also not the healthiest thing to do or to get. So having Cancer in a very healthy way is someone who nurtures, who's there when people need them, but who's not over interfering just because of their ego. Right? Because it feeds the ego. When I help you, when you are in need and I help you, it makes me feel good. I exaggerate here a little bit, but this is the philosophy or the psychology, you would rather say, around the sign of Cancer. It's here to nurture something that is small, something that is young, and to give it enough food to grow, but also not too much, so that you keep the independence of the individual themselves. So a very beautiful new start for us, for all of us, around this energy, a new beginning around family, a new beginning for a lot of us around nurturing, around how we nurture others, but also how we want to be nurtured. So that's the first thing. Second thing, this new moon is conjunct Lilith. Now, this is very important. Lilith is, I'm not going too much into the myth of Lilith, but basically Lilith, we have it all in our charts, and I mention it when it's a conjunction, right? And I'm always do this with doing readings for people as well. I find that Chiron is a little bit more saying a lot about our wounding, but Lilith says a lot about our suppressed energy, about suppressed female energy. That's what Lilith is all about, and you will find a lot of different stories if you are interested in that on the internet. But basically it's the first woman of Adam, Lilith, and what it all boils down to is that she's a bit like a feminist avant la lettre. So she wanted equality in relationships and also her independence. It's a lot about that. And when a feminine energy doesn't get that, it gets very nasty depending on the sign it is in. And this is in the sign of Cancer, so it's going to be nasty in a Cancerian side. We already mentioned it a tiny little bit of an unhealthy energy of Cancer, which is the overprotecting or the neglecting, right? It's the emotional manipulation. So it's a very under the radar kind of energy. It's not overt like you could say like what Aries is doing, but it's very covert. It's very much behind the scenes. So that energy is very much also together with this new moon. It doesn't mean to say, I mean, every energy is neutral, even Lilith is neutral, but it is what we make out of this. And that's why I'm doing these horoscopes, to use it in the most positive way possible with the knowledge that we have. So Lilith in a positive way is very strong, it's very powerful. So you could say someone who's very strong in wanting to have this healthy emotional nurturing towards others, but also healthy boundaries when it comes to emotional manipulation, right? So this is a huge theme in this new moon. Then third, it's also squaring Jupiter. So, and almost exactly. So Jupiter is in Aries and it makes a square with it. Now, in itself, this is not a bad thing. And I'll tell you why. Yes, Jupiter in itself, again, is neutral. We can use it in a bad way and we can use it in a good way. In a bad way, Jupiter, in a good way, Jupiter is expansion. So it gives, where Jupiter falls, and I'll talk about this in a minute for every single sign, we all want expansion somewhere. And we all want purpose. Purpose, a very important word nowadays. And that is in every one of us in our chart, that we want to create that in a bigger way, in a pioneering way as well, because it's in Aries. But it squares up to it, which means a little bit of attention and a tendency to go overboard. So we have to watch ourselves that we don't want to overextend. That the area of our life where we want to expand, yes, we have an opportunity for it. Absolutely. We have a new beginning. Absolutely. Considering this energy of nurturing and healthiness and family, absolutely. But we have to watch out that we are not extending boundaries. So this is, again, every sign has a good side and a bad side. And the sign of Cancer, the good side is nurturing very strongly and empowering others. The bad side is definitely emotional manipulation. So we have to watch out for that. And forewarned is forearmed, because we know it now. So we can do something with the information in a good way, so it serves us. And another thing that is so interesting about this square to Jupiter, although it is a square, Cancer receives Jupiter in its exaltation. This is what we call, this is the fourth point, what we call in astrology reception. So the sign of Cancer, when it receives planet like Jupiter, Jupiter in Cancer is a very positive energy. So its reception, what it shows is that Jupiter actually wants to do good and is very able to do good things, considering this. Even though it is a square, it receives Jupiter in a very healthy position. So if we do it mindful again, if we do it mindful, we can expand by watching our boundaries very well when it comes to emotional manipulation, whether we see it coming from others or doing it ourselves. And then we can have a huge nurturing and expansion that makes us very enjoyable and joyful. Jupiter in Cancer is fantastic because people who've got that natally, they are great supporters. They don't find it difficult to support in it's a very generous position to have. And last but not least, another thing that helps us is Venus in Gemini. It's sextiling Jupiter. So these are and what does it mean is that there is also help from Venus. So Venus is a very benefic planet, so is Jupiter, so they work together. So this is overall the new moon in Cancer, a very interesting one, a bit of the darkness there going on with Lilith, but also definitely a lot of expansion going on. So let's break this down into the 12 signs. What is the most important? Where is the Jupiter? Where is that square to the new moon? And yes, where is also the help of Venus? So for Aries people, of course, for Aries people who have a birthday around and about this 27th of March and onwards, a couple of days onwards, 28, 29, they will feel it the most because it's exactly squaring their energy. And this new moon, this new start is definitely about family because it's in your 4th house. So either you are looking for a new beginning when it comes to literally your home, your home life, or there is a new beginning when it comes to your family, or there is a new beginning that comes towards how you nurture yourself. It's like a new setup for emotional nurturing and how you are doing that. But the thing that you want to expand, though, is yourself, because Jupiter is in your first house. So this is all about finding purpose in yourself and finding purpose in your own growth. You just have to watch out for manipulation in the area of your home life, your family, your direct family, you could say, but also parents. So you have to watch out for not overextending that, for not being overprotective yourself towards your own children, and also of being very aware of the emotional manipulation that a parent could do to you, because this is not okay, and this is where your expansion is going to be the biggest of all. So this is a very deep new moon for you. It's a very significant new moon for you, a very new start that that you definitely can have. And it sextiles Venus in your third house. So what can help you in finding a little bit, you could say, of a, I'm not going to say a distraction, because it's certainly a healthy one, is in your communication, is in your day-to-day connection with like-minded people around you, you know, your neighborhood, your neighbors, your siblings, your communication. You could have some really nice, soft, gentle, witty communication going on. So when it's all a bit too much for you, this Venus in Gemini is all about lightness, and that can give you tremendous light. But keyword is expanding the self. Taurus, this is not so important for you, as it is not in the cardinal signs happening this new moon. It's happening in your third house. So this new beginning is around a nurturing beginning, you could say, around how you nurture yourself, first and foremost, when it comes to your mind. What are the narratives that you are saying to yourself? The communication that you do with others, but also with yourself. There is like a whole new start happening there. And Jupiter is in your 12th house. So the expansion, the purpose here is in you could say understanding that you are an element of the whole, understanding that you don't have it all into your control, and understanding that let go and let God has a very good influence around you, and also in relaxing, doing some, if you can, of course, like traveling around this time could be very interesting for you, because it suits you. It has soothing energy, but definitely a new way in communicating, a new way in how you talk to people, and how you talk to people in your surroundings is, and also without manipulation. So without, if you don't want that, if you find that other people's, like siblings, like people in the neighborhood, they are manipulating you, start with the self. Start not wanting and not, or seeing it, that you also every now and then can try to manipulate others or try to direct them in a certain way, which is all about control. And you have an opportunity to let go of that control, which is Jupiter in the 12th, which is like having support from the invisible world almost. So very beautiful. And Venus in the second house, go for the nice meals, go for the good wines, go for the enjoyment of life of the five senses for sure. Go and buy yourself something beautiful, something that you very, very much value, and of course that you can afford. But Taurians do that mostly. I mean, Taurus, people with a nice Taurian earthy energy, they are going to rather save for something that is of good quality, instead of buying, you know, something for the quantity. Gemini, also for you, it's not the most important new moon. It is all happening in your second house of value and of assets. So there could be a new beginning for you happening in your money area. Finding a new way to hustle for the money, finding a new way to restructure your finances, finding a new job, and therefore having a new source of income. This can all happen. And it squares up to Jupiter. So actually, Jupiter in your 11th is about, you want to expand in a way of finding more meaning in your life and finding better goals for the future that serve you. So everything that has to do with expanding your world, with friends, with things that you do with your friends is all good and well. Again, watch out for manipulation, you or others not manipulating each other too much. And especially if you want value, you get value from you rather than from friends that give it to you. That's a very significant one. And Venus is in your sign. So what is going to help you is treating you and loving you in a very beautiful way. And when Venus is in the first house, it's the best way to have a haircut, or the best moment to have a new, buying yourself some new clothes and all of that. So all in all, not a bad energy at all. So mind you that you want to be very, very clear about emotional security, which will come from money, which will come from the assets that you have, but you want to do it in a very, you could say, with good intentions, with good goals for the future. Cancerians, these are, of course, you are the sign that you have like a new birth here. Of course, those of you who have a birthday around 28, 29 will feel it the most, but all Cancerians will feel some sort of a new beginning. And so what I told in the beginning is very much applicable for you, of course, because it's with that Lilith. And so remember, and it's all about you being an emotional sign, but having the benefits of those emotions rather than, you could say, the curse. It's like you could say a blessing and a curse. You know, being very sensitive has a blessing because you know the people around you. You know what makes people think and tick. You know what makes people. You know the hidden motives of people better than any other sign. Together with the Scorpios. But it's very important not to make, you could say, a disadvantage, or not to do that in a Lilith negative way because you are angry, for instance. It's better to do it in that healthy way. And the same with other people. So the same with other people, very important here, because ultimately what you want is expansion when it comes to your career, when it comes to how people see you in your life. And Jupiter there in the highest point of your horoscope shows that you want to expand, you want to grow, you want to be seen as someone who supports others, you want to be seen as that good nurturer, but that is standing above their own ego, who's not doing it just to get the value, but who's doing it because you love it, when you can help give someone a helping hand, but not too much. You know, it's rather interesting to learn someone else and teach someone else how to fish rather than giving them the fish all of the time. This is so applicable for you Cancerians. And also for when you feel like you're not being nurtured, because Pluto is there opposing, of course, your opposite sign of relationships. When you feel that you're not nurtured, if you are in a relationship, in a significant romantic relationship, you feel you're not nurtured there, it's time now to stand up for yourself. It's time to say it. And because otherwise that Lilith is really going to become very emotional, very angry. And you don't want that. You just want to say your truth and say your emotions, and do it in a more mature way, so to speak. But either writing something if you can't speak, you know, face to face, but definitely standing up for yourself when someone has been manipulating you over and over again. And with manipulation, I mean emotional manipulation. I mean manipulation under the radar. When someone has been doing that for you, you're not going to you know, there's going to be some bursts here of the bubble. And ultimately, you want to be seen with this Jupiter in Aries in a new way, and your social status could change as well. What is helping you, Venus in the 12th, is time alone. It may not sound so cozy, but spend some time alone to think, to settle down, and very interesting energy, you know, to very big breakthroughs for Cancerians when it comes to their emotions. Leos, this is a little bit less important for you, but it's happening in your 12th house. So it's like a new beginning when it comes to the way that you relax, that you let your hair down, that you are getting in touch with the spiritual world, you could say, or your unconscious, getting in touch with that. It does square up Jupiter in the 9th, so don't go too much over the top with the spiritual bypassing. This is the thing that I'm thinking about here. But if you know that, and if you're down to earth, you cannot really go wrong here. It is probably, you want to expand when it comes to travel, you want to expand when it comes to learning new stuff, when it comes to you teaching others or others teaching you something, and finding purpose really in that we are all connected, and you can do that by relaxing. But the thing is, don't go over the top with it, right? Don't get too emotional when things are not going your way. And what can really, really help you is your friends. Venus in the 11th house is even finding love. By maybe a friend that becomes a little bit more than that if you are single, for instance, or just having a great time with your friends, and with Venus there in Gemini, having some nice conversations there and gatherings can really lift up your spirit. Virgos, also for you, it's not really, you could say, the most important new moon, but it's definitely a nice one for you because this is sextiling your energy. It's happening in a very happy house, in the house of friends, the 11th house, and the house of aspirations. There is a new beginning there with a friend, or with more friends, or at least with you could say an aspiration you have for your future. There is something new bubbling up there. There is a new idea that you have. If you work for yourself, you could also have new source of income, because the 11th house is the second house of the 10th when you have your own business. So you could have a new idea as well. And it does square that Jupiter in your 8th house. So mind you that you don't want to get too excited and too much emotionally involved and attached to it. So a healthy attachment is the best for you. So don't get overly wanting things to be perfect, and you will actually be fine. Also, Venus in your 10th house suggests this has for a lot of you to do with work, because Venus in the 10th house means that you will find more joy, more enjoyment, or more support even when it comes to your work. So if you have an aspiration to have a new job or to do something new or a new idea, go for it. Keeping in mind that manipulation, don't try to manipulate other people too much, or if you see manipulation is happening from friends, or especially from friends as well, say, whoa, 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 we're not going to do this. And you're good at that. I mean, Virgos are very down to earth. So you'll get the best out of this. Librans. For Libra, important time, because you are a cardinal sign. So for those of you who are born on the 30th of September and onwards, the couple of days after that, they will feel it the most, but all Libras will feel it, because this new moon is a new start at the highest point of your horoscope. So for those of you who work, this is definitely work. For those of you who are not working, it's what you want to do in life. It's what you want to do with your life so that you are of service for the public, you could say. That is the new moon in the 10th house. How it's a bit like a second ascendant. How do you want to be seen in the world? There is a whole new fresh start happening, but it squares up to your 7th house. So there is some expansion here possible when it comes to your relationships, for sure, and when it comes to good contacts and benevolent contacts, but don't go too much over the top with people in your love life, but also people at the workplace. Watch your integrity, be as clear as you can, no manipulation, above board, no under the radar, and also when you spotted it others like a boss or whatnot, cut it out. You know, it could mean being an ending also of a job, and which catapults you directly into something new. And Venus in the 9th house is, if you can do travel, you're going to enjoy yourself so much, even finding love. If you are single, for instance, and you're having Venus in the 9th, you could meet someone from a different culture or a different background. Scorpios, a bit less important for you, but Very, very nice energy. Why? Because Cancer energy is water energy, and that trines your own energy. It goes in balance with your energy. So you will find this a very nurturing energy when it comes to your belief system. This is happening in your 9th house of your beliefs, of how you see the world, your connection with all there is. And Pisces already feel quite, that's why Pisces feel nurtured, because their 9th house is in Cancer. So do travel if you can, maybe a new start or a new country or a new study that you're doing, or you teaching other people something new and you're really, really enjoying it. Just make sure, because it squares up to Jupiter in your 6th house of your day-to-day work and routines, that you don't go over the top. So mind your routines, make them stable. I know this is not the house for the Pisces that love these routines and doing things in a strict way. Pisces are not really keen on that, but it really can help you in expanding and finding more meaning in the work that you do. So if you balance these out, you can really go get that upgrade, you could say. Scorpios. Am I saying Pisces? I meant Scorpios, but anyways, it's I was correct in the energies, but I was not so correct probably in Pisces. Why I was saying Pisces? Because it's another fellow water sign as well. But this energy, use it in for your benefit. So go for that trip, go for that new language if you want to learn it, go for the expansion, go for the spiritual journey, go for the philosophy or a new philosophy that you want to learn. You will so much enjoy this. And keep in mind that finding that balance between work and also between how you can make it more meaningful, it can really be uplifting when you put that grander picture into your perspective. Now Venus is in your 8th house, which is your house, Scorpio. It's in Gemini and it's in your transiting your 8th house. Although that's not the easiest position for you, it's fantastic because you know this energy. This is heightening of intimacy. So whether you are single or not, you have an opportunity here to have those conversations, Gemini, one-to-one with a specific person, and to really enjoy yourself. You know, intimacy is not all it's not all just about sexuality. It can increase intimacy, but it's more than that. It's body, mind, and soul. And Scorpios, you love that. So you can enjoy and find joy there in those very intimate connections. And on another level, it's also financial house. You can draw money towards you, money that you share with other people, or that you have invested, or investments, tax returns, all of that. So quite good energy for you as well. Sagittarians, not the most important transit, but this is happening in your 8th house. This is a bit deep for you. Sagittarians, their 8th house is Cancer, and having a new moon there is a bit of a tricky thing. Why? Because your ruler is involved. It squares up to your ruler, which is Jupiter in the 5th house. Now, the 5th house is a fun house. So actually, what is your purpose here? You want to have more fun. Nothing wrong with that. You want to have more fun. You want to have more expressing your creative endeavors, doing a new project, having more meaningful connection with children, finding more romance in your life. Nothing wrong with that. As long as you're doing it not behind the scenes, you could say, right? Because this is a new moon in the very private 8th house. So be aware of that, because it will have, you could say, a knock-on effect, or it will have a backfire effect. But I think most Sagittarians will be very much doing this in a positive way, because Venus is in your opposite sign of relationships. So it's not all like things are not open. But for those of you who are single, or who they could really meet someone now, and that is so, and that could represent this new moon in the 8th house. It's like a death and a rebirth, because first this Venus is indeed in your 7th house, but within you know, around at about the midst of July, it's going into your 8th house. So yes, there is a deepening of intimacy, there is a deepening of those very important conversations with one specific person that reveal a lot. Now for Sagittarius, this is going to reveal a lot of things that are hidden, and whatever, but Sagittarians, they do like that, although it can be a bit emotional. It can be related to family, but it can also be related to the nurturing side that I was talking about, you know, relationships where you want to have that because you are involved here, Jupiter is you, so you want to have those good boundaries with people. You want to be not manipulating others, and certainly not around this time, and not wanting to be manipulated. With Lilith there in your 8th house, you're going to say no, this is not going to happen anymore, and that could mean some crisis is happening for you, but they are for the better. And they are for the good, you know. This is about new beginnings in this 8th house, which is going to make you stronger, more authentic, more real. It's a very real house. It could also mean like new money coming in for you out of sharing this with other people, or like investments or inheritances or tax returns. That could happen as well. But with that 5th house, just make sure that you don't want to overextend it, because you want to have some fun. If you can keep that under control and with your integrity, I don't think you can go wrong. And I think you will be able to expand, and because something here is shifting very deeply. Something here is shifting. It's like a little death and a little death, yeah, which is, you know, what they say about orgasm, right? It's like the 8th house is associated with that, because it's a letting go of something that gives space to new energy, and that is more authentic, and that's going to have a real important effect on your heart chakra. So be very real to yourself, very honest, but also very mature, and you will get help from someone as well. You know, with Venus in the 7th house, people are positive towards you, so you attract very positive people, beautiful people, Venus in the 7th, but also positive people who have your best interest. Capricorn, so important, especially if you have like a birthday around the 28th of December. Oh my goodness me, very important new moon for you. It's all about your relationships. It's all about you could say death and rebirth. You could say a cycle ending and a new one beginning. Do you have to panic now that all Capricorns will have an ending of a relationship? Of course not. It's only a small percentage who already know when they're watching this video and they know it's going down. Yes, this could mean indeed an ending, but also a new beginning and a new start, in order for you to find more emotional security in self. Jupiter in your 4th house is such an amazing energy. It has to do with, yes, of course, on a mundane level, it can mean buying a new home that is bigger. But for a lot of you, this is about emotional security, that you are your own parent. You are your own best parent. You are your own nurturer. And that is so important. And things might come up for you when it comes to manipulation in relationships. And so that you go towards more stability around your emotional security. So super, super important new moon for you. In the relationship sector. Now, what can distract you a little bit in a positive way is your work or your day-to-day routines, the things that you do to stay healthy. With Venus there in your 6th house, this can really, really give you some support that you don't have to do a lot of effort for. But an opportunity for an upgrade, right? In going the next level when you are in a relationship and things are fairly good. This could mean going up on the next level, like you moving in with each other, you know, with your spouse or a partner or boyfriend, girlfriend. Aquarians, not that important, but very nice new beginning happening in your 6th house of your day-to-day life, your day-to-day routines, your health routines, and it's all for expanding the mind. Jupiter in your third house means that you want to have a little bit more of an expanding mind, of a positive mind. Jupiter in Aries, doing new things, traveling to new places, going in the neighborhood, studying something, or you teaching something, you starting a web shop, you starting something new, but don't go over the top too much with the work, basically. That is that you don't get too emotionally involved and attached with it, that you're overdoing it. That is a bit the warning for the Aquarians. So not so much on a relationship level, more on a level of work and more on a level of how you think. So you can have new ways and better ways and give more purpose to the way that you think and to the way that you communicate to others. Now, what I really love for you is Venus in the 5th house. Do enjoy that, because Venus in Gemini in the 5th house, for those of you who are single, this could mean a new romance with someone very, very adorable, very beautiful, very charming, very witty. So having good conversations, conversations, communications, they go very smooth for you, even if you're not in a relationship, at least in your neighborhood, because of this beautiful sextile between Jupiter and Venus. Last but not least, the Pisceans. This is, like I said with the Scorpios, this is absolutely a very beautiful new moon, because you are a water sign. Cancer is a water sign, and this happens in the 5th house of the heart chakra. This is the house where you love to enjoy yourself, the house where you love to have fun, your children, your romances, your projects that you want to do to create, and which is such a beautiful thing for the Pisceans for you to have. Now, this energy of this new start can, yes, mean a new romance, absolutely, a new hobby. Something new is brewing there, but mind you, with the square to Jupiter in your 2nd house, actually the purpose is here to have more confidence and to ground yourself more. But the trick here is to know that don't get yourself too dependent of the value of other people, basically. That is this emotional boundaries. Don't get too emotionally attached towards a new lover, towards a new project, and because that makes you you. No, the self-confidence comes from the cells and blah, blah, blah. I know it sounds all cheesy, but it's true. So especially for you with the square to Jupiter, and don't forget Jupiter is your ruler. So you are there in that 2nd house of expanding your income, expanding your worth, your self-worth. So you're working really, really hard on that. You don't want to attach yourself too much to the things that you just love to do because of expressing yourself. And last but not least, Venus in your 4th house. I love that. That is very nurturing energy. The 4th house is literally the home. So you could beautify your home with doing some new fabrics in the home, or decorating a little bit more, or just inviting people to your home and enjoying yourself and having nice conversations with family as well. The Venus in the 4th house, it does suggest having nicer connections with family, and also feeling very relaxed at home as well. So all in all, very interesting for the Pisceans, very loving energy, very heartening energy for sure. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you find it helpful, and see you next time. Bye-bye.